Good morning, viewers. We have joy in the diffuser today and in the little crone, that little depression right there, these little clay sculptures you can put oil in, which is so awesome. So, joy to you. I wish we had smelloscope. Hi. Wow. I woke up at 5 and then I went back to sleep and then I just rolled out. Can you tell? That dang light's on. I hate that light. Oh my gosh. Good morning. Good morning. I'm disorganized. How are you guys doing? Catherine, I was so glad you mentioned putting the jars of sauerkraut in something like a cake pan or whatever. Oh, I had an allergy headache because I slept with the window open last night. What a dummy. Pollen counts are like through the roof. But that I put those 2 jars of sauerkraut in a glass bowl before I put them away in the cabinet, and I got up this morning and there was like half a cup of brine in the bottom of that bowl. So I'm really glad that you suggested that. Hi, Sarah. Because that would have been all over our pantry. Yuck. Good morning, everybody. If you didn't catch Angela Simmons' scope, do. She has such a lovely voice. She has a beautiful, beautiful singing voice. I don't even know where we're at on anything, so I just grabbed the big magic book because we can never go wrong with it. And I have like a zillion errands to run. I know, right? Her voice is just like, if your heart had a voice, it would be Angela's voice. She has that, what I would imagine if our hearts could sing to us. Yeah. So, let's read. We were talking last time we were in this book about our minds being like a border collie and us having to give it something to do, which is a perfect analogy. I used to say, your Chihuahua mind, but actually border collie fits better because Chihuahuas are just barky. They're not crazy. Border collies are crazy. If you have one, bless you. Because border collies are just banana crazy. So she was talking about how we have to give ourselves. Yeah, they're not nutso like good morning. They're not just nuts. Like border collies are just all over the place, and it's so hard to get them to focus to do any kind of training. You just have to exhaust them usually before you can do any kind of training with them. So I think our minds are a little more border collie-like than a Chihuahua. A collie or a border collie? No. No, they're not. Not in that same way. Yeah, they're nuts. They're nutso dogs. It's brave to have one. Karma collie. That's funny. So she was saying, so we need to give our brains something to do that stops us from eating the couch, because we'll devour ourselves if we don't have pea brains. That's true. Whether we make a profession out of it or not, we all need an activity that is beyond the mundane and takes us out of our established and limiting roles in society. We all need something that helps us forget ourselves for a while. We need something that takes us so far out of ourselves that we forget to eat. Okay, we read this part. You want to find something. Okay, enjoy your shower. I think Michelle might be right. We need a phone that can handle being in the shower so we can keep listening easier. So, the point of finding a creative act, and you're probably already doing it. Thank you. It's I fell back asleep in the big chair hair and woke up again like 20 minutes ago. But thank you. The point is to find something, thanks Tanya, where you lose track of time. Like something you like doing so much that a couple of hours can go by and you don't even realize it. That's the kind of creativity she's talking about. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's mowing the lawn or, plucking weeds out of the garden. Whatever it is, something that's so absorbing that it is a meditative practice. Even if it's, in action, it's a meditation. That's the kind of creativity that restores your soul. And that's the kind of creativity that leads to more synchronicity and more insight. Things just pop in your mind. It occurs to you to do something and it turns out to be the absolute perfect thing for you and everybody else. Chances are if you don't have an activity in your life like that right now, you used to have. So sometimes if people have been away from their creativity for a long time, they have to go looking back like, what did I like to do when I was 10? What was I spending my time on? And if you have to go even further back, that's a little bit sad. But keep going back in your life timeline until you find something that you used to do that you lost track of time with, and do it again. And start exploring things that your friends are doing, like adult coloring books. Huge right now. I have one, but I haven't used it. There's one that I want to get. It's called Howl. And it's all like animals and stuff. Hi, Michelle and Linda. Good morning. So anyway, that's what she means. That's a prayer in action. By completely absorbing our attention for a short and magical spell, it relieves us temporarily from the dreadful burden of being who we are. Best of all, at the end of your creative adventure, you have a souvenir, something you made, something to remind you of your brief but transformative encounter with inspiration. Yeah. Grooming animals can be that. Petting animals can be meditative. It's good for you and for them. So that's what her books are to her, souvenirs of journeys that she took. An abiding stereotype of creativity is that it turns people crazy. I disagree. I disagree with that too, entirely. Not expressing creativity turns people crazy. If you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you don't bring forth what is within you, what you don't bring forth will destroy you. And that's from the Gospel of Thomas. Bring forth what is within you then, whether it succeeds or fails. Do it whether the final product, your souvenir, is crap or gold. Do it whether the critics love you or hate you, or whether the critics have never even heard of you and never will hear of you. Do it whether people get it or don't get it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be Plato. It's all just an instinct and an experiment and a mystery. So begin. Begin anywhere, preferably right now. And if greatness should ever accidentally stumble upon you, let it catch you hard at work and sane. John Acuff wrote a great book called Start, about just starting. Just pick a damn place and start. And Seth Godin writes a lot about just do something, anything. My friend Bev used to say, just make any decision and go with it. And if it turns out to be the wrong one, you can adjust and do something different. But just make some decision and take some kind of action toward expressing that which is within you, because I absolutely believe that's why people do too much. That's why people drink too much. That's why people eat too much, smoke too much, shoot up heroin too much. There's something within all of us, and it's either going to come out and be expressed in the world, or you're going to hold it in and it's going to eat you alive. It's going to destroy you. Hide too much. Yes. We spend more energy forcing ourselves to not create than the energy it would take to just create the darn thing already. Yeah. It takes more energy to hold yourself still than to move and take some kind of creative action. Some kind. You can make a mud pie, for God's sake, and that'd be better than not creating anything at all. I never met an addict that wasn't extremely creative. And I mean 100%. Oh, good. Yeah, do something with it. Do something with it. You might need to, so you can use the desire map process, you can go to therapy, you can go read Byron Katie books or watch our YouTube videos. When you start to express that creativity, if you truly have a block, something against something that's saying to you, no, don't go there, as you start to become more creative, those beliefs and stories will come up into your consciousness. And you do need to do something with that sometimes. If you really have like not just a hesitancy to create, but an actual block to creating, you need to work with that and work through that. Hi, Mom. And, listen for that story and figure out whose voice it is. It's usually not your own. It usually comes from a combination of parents and teachers and whatnot. People who told you that it wasn't okay to spend time staring at the clouds, which is absurd. It's one of the best things you can do is lay outside and stare at the clouds. So don't be surprised if that's where we fall into that trap of just do it. It's easy for me to say, just go do something. But when you go to do something, if there's a reason that you're not creating, it's going to come up and you need to deal with that. Write a worksheet on who says you shouldn't create. Who says you shouldn't spend your time daydreaming. So the next chapter is called Nobody's Thinking About You. And they really aren't. We worry so much about what people are thinking about us, and people are generally not thinking about us. They're too busy worrying about what you think about them. Long ago, when I was in my insecure 20s, I met a clever, creative, powerful woman in her mid-70s who offered a superb piece of life wisdom. She said, "We all spend our 20s and 30s trying so hard to be perfect because we're so worried about what people will think of us. Then we get in our 40s and 50s and we finally start to be free because we decide we don't give a damn what anyone thinks of us. But you won't be completely free until you reach your 60s and 70s when you finally realize this liberating truth. Nobody was ever thinking about you anyhow. They aren't. They weren't. They never were. Your behavior might be a passing thought. Hi, Aaron, in somebody's mind. But generally, they're not taking you home and stressing out about what you're doing and spending a lot of time in judgment upon you. People are mostly just thinking about themselves. People don't have time to worry about what you're doing or how well you're doing it because they're all caught up in their own dramas. People's attention may be drawn to you for a moment if you succeed or fail spectacularly and publicly, for instance. But that attention will soon enough revert right back to where it's always been, on themselves. We see that happen publicly with people in Hollywood. Famous people, sports figures, hi Nina, actors, actresses, people like that, where they have a big giant screw up and a few years later they're making products again and they're fine. Oh, what is going on with that? That's been happening all week with the no notifications. You guys, if you get into that no notification thing, you might uninstall the Periscope app and then reinstall it. I had to do that the other day. I uninstalled it and then reinstalled it. And sometimes that will fix the no notification issue. Sometimes it doesn't, but that sucks. It really does. Yeah, sometimes I get scopes because you guys share out other people's scopes and I'm like, oh yeah, and I didn't get a notice. But since I reinstalled it, it seems to be better. I'm getting my notices again. I've always been really glad, hi Tina, that my big mistakes in life weren't in the public eye. I feel bad for people like Britney Spears who screw up and just burst into flame and everybody gets to see all their, all their everything every minute of the day. Yeah, or recorded or, God, tweeted all over the place. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a blessing. But even those people bounce back from it. If they stick around long enough, they come back around. Britney Spears, I know, she has no shame. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But even big failures like hers, people talk about it for what? A couple of days, and then it's over, and she'll have a comeback album and a tour, and she'll be just fine. So, while it may seem lonely and horrible at first, to imagine that you aren't anyone else's first order. Oh, she already did? See, I totally missed it. I don't follow her at all. So she's already back. She's fine. Which means you in your own life can take a little more risk. Come on. Your risk taking is not going to end up on Twitter or Facebook. Well, maybe Facebook. Depends. But usually your risk taking is not going to end up, in the papers. Huh. So while it may seem lonely and horrible at first to imagine that you aren't anyone else's first order of business, there is also great release to be found in this idea. You are free because everyone is too busy fussing over themselves to worry all that much about you. Go be whomever you want to be then. Do whatever you want to do. Pursue whatever fascinates you and brings you to life. Create whatever you want to create and let it be stupendously imperfect. Because it's exceedingly likely that nobody will even notice. And that's awesome. There's no reason to hold back. So this is your argument to the voice in your head that says you can't. That says you shouldn't take that risk. That says you shouldn't put yourself out there. You shouldn't talk to that person or pick up the phone and make that phone call or hold that class or teach that webinar. That we all have that voice that says it's going to be so embarrassing. You're going to screw up the technology. I had it. I don't have it anymore. I always do with new technology though. I had it bad with Periscope. I had it really bad with my the freeconferencecalling.com website. I had that anxiety super bad about doing my workshops online, but they weren't filling up in person. So if I wanted to do them, I kind of had to look for another avenue. So that's normal anxiety. Don't worry about it. And I did screw up and I did make mistakes and we're all still here and we're fine. The worst thing that's going to happen if you reach out to someone to offer your product is they're going to say, no, get the hell away from me. You can live through that. You've lived through worse. If you've made it to adulthood, you've lived through worse than someone saying, no, get the hell away from me. I don't want your stupid product. Or someone saying, your offering is just too damn crazy. I don't want anything to do with it. This came up in the Desire Map workshop last night. We're talking about how, and they might, they totally might. You just plant seeds. That's all you can do. And then if people want it, they'll come back around. You just let people know, hey, I've got this thing. And when they're ready, if they're ever ready, they'll come and find you. They'll go, oh, so-and-so has that thing. I think I need to, to get with it, get on it. So there was some discussion last night in the workshop with, service offerings that are out there on the edge of your mainstream culture. And it's very important that if that's where you're at, if you're out there on the edge, offer it anyway. Oh God, yeah, Aaron, yeah. People dismiss my stuff for a long time, and that's okay. What I'm offering is not something easily explained, and I ask a lot of money for it. So people have to wait till their heart says, you need this, and then they sign up, and then they get what they need. And there's no point in doing any kind of personal growth work until you're absolutely ready to do it. Why bother? When you're ready, you'll know. But if you're the one offering the service and you think it's a little weird or it's kind of beyond your comfort zone, you have absolutely nothing to lose by offering it anyway. If you don't offer it, you never find your tribe. You never find your people because they don't know you're there. If you're not speaking up, they don't know you exist. So, and it's scary. I'm not saying it's not scary. She's not saying it's not scary as hell either. But what we're both saying is you can be scared and you can still take risks. You can have terrible anxiety and you can still take on a project that's way beyond your comfort zone, and you can do well with it, making mistakes all along the way. You can still come out on the other end with something profound and wonderful. Fumbling is normal. Absolutely. Unless you're playing football, and that'll get you killed. You fumble the ball at the wrong time and you're a football player, you're screwed. Yes, me too, Sarah. Trip, fall, stand up. Trip, fall, stand up. Trip, fall, stand up. It's never ending. Yeah. You can fumble everywhere except as a football player. Done is better than good. Yes, you only fail if you don't get back up. And there are periods of time where I have laid on the ground, literally and figuratively, and bawled and whined and thrashed around and felt like a horrible toady person and, felt through massive pity parties for myself for weeks, sometimes months. But I eventually still got back up. You can give yourself some time to thrash around and feel horrible, but eventually you need to get back up. Take a shower, shave your legs, get going. You can do it. Done is better than good. The only reason I was able to persist in completing my first novel was that I allowed it to be stupendously imperfect. I think most pity parties are lame. No one wants to come to them. There's no good snacks. Yeah, no one comes. Or if they come, they leave really quickly because they're like, damn, girl. This is one hell of a pity party. Okay, so she was able to complete her first novel by allowing it to be stupendously imperfect. All that tiny violin music, so hard on the ears. I strongly disapproved of what I was producing, but I continued to write it. That book was so far from perfect, it made me nuts. I remember pacing around in my room during the years that I worked on the novel, trying to gin up my courage to return to that lackluster manuscript every single day, despite its awfulness, reminding myself of this vow. I never promised the universe that I'd be a great writer, goddammit. I just promised the universe that I would be a writer. There's a statement of freedom right there. You don't have to be the best oil person on the planet. You just have to keep telling people about oils if that's your passion. I don't have to be the best scoper. Clearly, I'm not. I just have to keep showing up to scope because right now it's my creative outlet, or one of them. I have lots of them now. But you don't have to be great. You just have to do it. Yes, me too. At 75 pages in, I nearly stopped. It felt too terrible to continue, too deeply embarrassing. But I pushed through my own shame only because I decided that I refused to go to my grave with 75 pages of an unfinished manuscript sitting in my desk drawer. I did not want to be that person. 3 cheers for lame. 3 cheers for mediocrity. My first novel, which is out there on Kindle and Nook, is terrible. It's so cheesy. It's probably, if you have the nerve to buy it, you know what I'll do? I'm going to go put my first novel for you up for free. You're probably going to have to wait till tonight. And Amazon takes forever to adjust the price. So I'll tell you, let me make myself a note. My first poetry book is only good if you understand slam poetry. If you don't, it sounds like it was written by a lunatic. My second book of poetry is pretty good. I'm proud of it. But my first novel, Post-it Note, is awful. It's the cheesiest. It's like a Lifetime movie. It's so bad. It's bad. And I love it in its badness. And you know why I love it in its badness? Is because it's there. It's not that bad. Right. You take the milk jug out and you're like, is this spoiled? This smells terrible. Smell this. Is this spoiled? So this afternoon I'll go change the Post-it Note price to free so you can have it. So that you can see done is better than good. Thank you, Roseanne. Roseanne, you're so kind. You're so kind. Done is better than good, y'all. 2009? This tastes terrible. Try it. Yeah, I want to say 2009. No. On the Road to Kingman is my first book of poetry. Do not buy that book. It's on Amazon. Don't buy it. If you want it, I'll send you a PDF for free. Because there's some publisher copies out there and I don't want you to spend money on them. It's ridiculous. Maybe 2010 was the novel. I can't remember. Well, that's kind of how I look at it. Like, it's out there. It's completed. It has a beginning, middle, and end. And it's out there. Done is better than good. And if you are a writer and you want to get started writing, the first book you need to read is No Plot, No Problem. It's better than hers because she doesn't have one. That's what she said. And then you need to read Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. And anything by Julia Cameron. Okay, done is better than good. Same thing with if you're sitting on a webinar or an educational program that you want to offer, get it out there. Believe me, oh God, me too. I love her. Believe me, people will tell you where the problems are, whether you ask them for it or not. They'll tell you where the problems are. So just go ahead and put it out there knowing that somebody's going to hate it. They're going to send you an email. Yeah, and they're going to tell you exactly where the problems are, which if you think about it, you just got free editing. You put your product out and some lame ass writes you all the flaws. You can be like, thanks. I didn't have to pay anybody to review it. Now I can go fix the problems. Thank you, free sarcastic editor. Yay! I'm spilling water all over myself. That's lovely. Okay. Yeah, she'll let you know. There's always somebody out there who's more than happy to tell you where all your mistakes are. And you can be like, that's free services. Sweet. Okay, so the world is filled with too many unfinished manuscripts as it is. And I didn't want to add another one to that bottomless pile. So no matter how much I thought my work stank, I had to persist. I always kept remembering what my mother used to say, done is better than good. I heard that simple adage of my mother's again and again the entire time I was growing up. This is not because Carol Gilbert was a slacker. On the contrary, she was incredibly industrious and efficient, but more than anything else, she was pragmatic. There are only so many hours in the day, after all. There are only so many days in a year, only so many years in a life. You do what you can do as competently as possible within a reasonable time frame, and then you let it go. When it came to everything from washing the dishes to wrapping Christmas presents, my mother's thinking was much in line with General George Patton. A good plan violently executed now is better than a perfect plan executed next week. Or to paraphrase, a good enough novel violently written now is better than a perfect novel meticulously written never. I also think that my mother understood this radical notion that mere completion, yes, you were just like, I just got to get this done. So I'm going to make a Christmas tree on the Scantron sheet and hope for the best. Mere completion is a rather honorable achievement in its own right. What's more, it's a rare one. Because the truth of the matter is, most people don't finish things. Look around you. The evidence is everywhere. People don't finish. They don't finish their projects. They begin ambitious projects with the best of intentions, and then they get stuck in a mire of insecurity and doubt and hair splitting, and they stop. So if you can just complete something, just complete it. Make completion your only goal. You're already miles ahead of the pack right there. You may want your work to be perfect. In other words, I just want mine to be finished. What an excellent chapter. Because we're in the section on persistence, right? An excellent chapter. Just finish it. If you pick up your half-done projects, pick up your half-done thoughts about a project, and complete them. You have so many ideas, you don't finish projects before you move on to the next one. Sometimes that's okay. I don't make myself finish things that I'm really hating. I do make myself finish things that I'm resisting finishing because they're good and I don't, I'm uncomfortable with it or whatever. But I don't read books anymore and I don't finish movies anymore if they're horrible. I just stop in the middle. I have a friend who still makes herself finish books. Your dad built your house starting when you were 1. You're 38 and it's still not done. Jeez, 37 years, Dad. Come on. Finish the damn thing. That's cool, though, that he built your house. Oh, your mom. She's probably like, I'm going to go live at the Motel 6. Give me a little ringy-ding when you're done here. I wouldn't like that either. Yeah, insecurities everywhere. Pick. We pick ourselves to death, right? We just pick our projects to death, and then we don't do them. Come on. Well, the story of our house is a similar one. The little cabin was built in the 70s, and I think it was 5 people lived in there. A mom, a dad, and 3 kids. In that tiny little cabin. Then they got the cabin done. I think I might be telling the story wrong. But then they were living in an RV. Weren't the people who built this house living in that little cabin? Or were they living in... They
lived in a camper.
They lived in a camper and the cabin. And after 5 years, while this house we're in was being built, Rabbit Ears built, after 5 years, the mom was like, no, I'm out of here. She left. And the guy finally finished the house, or almost finished the house, and she said, too late, I'm not coming back. Yeah, she might have. She probably would be happier if she did. And then the people who bought it before us actually finished it. See, all you had to do was finish that. Hey, yeah, the wife eventually was like, I'm not living in this half-ass crap anymore. I'm gone. And he waited so long to finish it. By the time he did... Oh, it's Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's outstanding. It's an outstanding book. Go get it. Download it on your Kindle today. Did you get the screenshot before I put it down? I moved it kind of fast. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, so just finish it. Just finish it. For God's sake, stop picking it apart. I got to run into town. My new glasses are there. I need to mail Bernice her stuff. I need to get cat food. There's enough of them that they could take me down like a wildebeest and have me for dinner if I don't get them some food. They have dry food, but you know, that's not good enough. All right, I love you guys. Thanks for showing up today. And yeah, they could kill me. 15 miles to town, so 30 miles round trip. 15 to 20, depending on where we're going. It's kind of a pain. It takes forever. Going to the grocery store and running errands is like an all-day deal. So that's the price you pay when you live in the woods. You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Yes, I love it. I really do. I know I complain a lot, but I really do love it here. I just like to whine about something. All right. See you later. Love you. Bye. You're welcome.